morning, my friend. Welcome. It's May Day. May April showers have brought you Mayflowers on this day. And we're wrapping up our series called Know Thyself. Now, over the previous 4 episodes, we learned about introversion and extroversion, the first element or dichotomy in the archetypes based on Carl Jung's work, Swiss psychologist. The next episode was about intuitive or sensate. And if you watch the after the copies for the drill downs on those, you'll be able to clearly identify with one or the other. The next dichotomy of behavioral type is thinking versus feeling. And then last week we talked about judging versus perceiving, both on Monday Morning Cuppa Joe and after the copy that's posted on Wednesdays. So this leaves you with 4 letters that define, or rather identify, your archetype, your behavioral archetype, personality trait. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take those 4 letters and open up your browser and type at the top in your browser, portrait of a ENFJ, ISTP, whichever 4 letters you ended up with, right? I was an INFJ. So I type that in and I hit enter, and the browser comes up with all these sites, maybe even some YouTube videos that talk about your personality archetype. Now, there are a lot of what some sites refer to as a test or a quiz. This is not a test or a quiz. It is a survey. A test or a quiz would infer that there are right or wrong answers, and that's not the case. What they're doing is they're surveying you to gather enough behavioral information. Don't worry, I don't think it's being used by, some secret government, but just basically feedback. And so you'll read that narrative that says portrait of da 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 da, right? You'll read it. I hope that you would maybe print it off or do a screen capture and then highlight those things within that archetype description that you agree with. You highlight them. Oh, yeah, that's definitely me. Oh, my gosh. How accurate. How amazingly accurate. It seems like magic, right? No, you gave them that information. All they're doing is feeding that information back to you and providing you some insight, right? This is not woo-woo. This is not like, something unscientific, although I've had some psychologists say, oh, that's, like the quiz in the back of Cosmo. That's not the case. If this had been voodoo science, people in my realm of social psychology and being a team facilitator and organizational development specialist would not have been using it for more than 30 years. There has some foundation to it. Whether they're educated people who decide that they don't want to believe it, that's up to them. But type that in, highlight those things you agree with, and then I want you to underline those things that, well, I don't know, they just didn't get me in that area. It's way off. Yeah, right? And then again, like I've said before, all along in the series, share it with someone else. A trusted friend, spouse, partner, whoever it might be, someone who knows you, right? And I want you to have them read it and say, so what do you think about the highlighted areas? And they would look at them more than likely and say, yeah, definitely you. There is no doubt. And I underline those areas that are totally not me, right? And they would take a look at that and say, well, this, and this, yes, believe it or not, right? Because what did they do? They caught your blind spot. And blind spots, well, we're blind too, right? We can't see them. but we do show up in that way to other people, and we need to be self-aware of that, because we need to ask ourselves a question: is this how I want to be? Then do nothing. Is this something that I would like to change? Then you take action. For example, let's say I'm an extrovert and I've been accused of such, right? And I'm very excited because I'm around people and having conversation. I may have a tendency to try to dominate the conversation. I might try to sell people on my idea rather than listening to theirs. Or I might have an idea that I want to, or I need to, interrupt the group and say, oh, I got an idea, regardless of who was talking before, because I didn't want to lose my train of thought, or so I tell myself. That may not show up to others in a positive way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan to make sure that in conversation, I leave space for others to share their thoughts, feelings, ideas, and perspective. And what I get in return is knowledge. I begin to learn how other people see things. I become enlightened by ideas that are not my own. And that's a huge benefit, right? An open mind collects more riches than an open purse. So I want you to think about that. Type it in, get that, archetype profile, read it, highlight it, underline it, print it off, share it, get that feedback to better know and understand yourself. So important. Now, down below, I have put in a website that I have used, and they allow you to take, the survey, fill it out. They will give you a profile, a very, very comprehensive profile, very insightful. I found it to be highly valuable. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. I got one email from them saying, hey, how would you like to join our community? And there's a cost to that. But they didn't spam me. They didn't, fill my email up with ridiculous stuff. I did get a very good, they sent me an email about my archetype profile as it applies to the work environment or as it implies in a relationship. And I found both of those very, very interesting and quite valuable. You could just delete them if you wanted to. The important thing here is that it's free and you won't get spammed. They're very accurate. It's a good survey. Do it. Surprise me. I want you to, in the next episode or just down below in the comment area, I want you to write out your 4 letters if you feel safe to share them. If you don't, then just give me the descriptor of the archetype. Okay, there's the adventurer, and there's the maybe people gatherer. There's mine was the advocate. So please do that for me. And have a wonderful week. I hope you're having a good Monday. Make it a good Monday by having whatever warm libation that makes you happy. Make it special. Lead well, my friend, and I will see you on Wednesday. Cheers.